I sat alone on the old sofa in my parents' living room, surrounded by the sound of laughter. Christmas lights twinkled on the tree, casting warm shadows across faces I had known my entire life. My brother Grant had just spoken those words, his voice cutting through the holiday cheer. No wife, no kids, no life. Everyone nodded in agreement. Some even smiled. I looked at each of them, my own family, and felt something shift inside me. I smiled back, stood up quietly, grabbed my coat, and walked out. Nobody stopped me. Nobody followed. Before I tell you what happened next, let me know where you are watching from. If you have ever felt underestimated by your own family, hit that like button. And subscribe, because what unfolded 72 hours later completely changed everything. Growing up, I was always the middle child. My older brother Grant was 4 years ahead of me, the golden boy who could do no wrong. My younger sister Paula came 2 years after me, the baby of the family, who got all the attention she wanted. Then there was me, Raymond, the quiet one. The one who spent his time reading books and tinkering with computers, while everyone else was outside playing sports or socializing. My father worked as a mechanical engineer, proud of his practical career. My mother was a nurse at the county hospital, always caring for others. They were good people, but they had clear ideas about what success looked like. And I never quite fit that picture. Grant was everything they wanted in a son. He played football in high school, got good grades without trying too hard, and had a natural charm that made people like him instantly. At family dinners, Dad would clap him on the shoulder and talk about his latest achievements. Grant this, Grant that. I would sit at the other end of the table, pushing food around my plate, wondering if anyone even noticed I was there. Paula was the sweetheart. Cute, bubbly, always knowing exactly what to say to make Mom smile. She followed in our mother's footsteps, talking about becoming a nurse from the time she was 12. Mom would beam with pride, already imagining Paula in scrubs carrying on the family tradition. And then there was me. I loved technology. I loved understanding how things worked, how code could create something from nothing. When I was 16, I built my first website. I was so proud of it, I showed it to Dad at dinner. He glanced at it for maybe 5 seconds before saying, "That is nice, son. But you cannot make a living staring at a computer screen all day. You should think about engineering like your brother." I remember the feeling in my chest, like something deflating. I did not argue. I just nodded and went back to my room. When it came time for college, Grant got a full ride to a good university. Mom and Dad paid for everything he needed, drove him there themselves, helped him set up his dorm room. There were photos everywhere of that day, Grant smiling in his college sweatshirt, arms around our parents. When it was my turn 2 years later, I told them I wanted to study computer science. Dad frowned. "Computer science, that field is not stable, Raymond. Study mechanical engineering, something with a future." I tried to explain that technology was the future, but he just shook his head. "You are being stubborn. You will regret this." I applied for scholarships. I took out student loans. I worked part-time at a campus bookstore to pay for my textbooks. Mom and Dad did not offer to help the way they had with Grant. They were disappointed in my choice, and they wanted me to know it. Paula got the same treatment Grant did when her time came. She was studying nursing, following the approved path. They paid her tuition, bought her supplies, visited her every month. I was lucky if I got a phone call on my birthday. I graduated with a degree in computer science and a mountain of debt. My first job was as a junior developer at a small tech company in San Francisco. The pay was decent, but nothing impressive. When I told my family, Dad asked, "How much are you making?" When I told him, he grunted. "Grant is making almost double that as an engineer. You should have listened to me." I stopped going home as often after that. It hurt too much to be there to feel like the disappointment, the one who could not measure up. I threw myself into work instead. I learned everything I could. I moved to different companies, climbing slowly, building my skills and my network. When I was 28, I met two people who would change my life. Trevor was a brilliant designer who had worked at several major tech companies. Aisha was a business strategist with an MBA from Stanford. We met at a tech conference and discovered we all had the same frustration. The tools available for small businesses to manage their operations were either too expensive or too complicated. Over drinks that night, we sketched out an idea on a napkin. What if we built a platform that was simple, affordable, and actually designed for small business owners who did not have technical expertise? What if we could level the playing field? 6 months later, the three of us quit our jobs and started our company. We called it Streamline Ops. We worked out of a tiny shared office space, eating ramen and pulling all-nighters. I poured every penny of my savings into it. My student loans were still hanging over me, but I believed in what we were building. I did not tell my family. What was the point? They already thought I was wasting my potential. If they knew I had quit a stable job to start a company, they would just have one more reason to lecture me. Over the next 4 years, we grew slowly but steadily. We found our first customers. We refined our product. We hired a small team. We stayed lean and focused. And gradually, something amazing started to happen. Small businesses loved what we had built. They told their friends. Those friends became customers. We started getting attention from investors. While I was building my company, my family was building their picture-perfect lives. Grant married a woman named Simone. She was beautiful, worked in marketing, and seemed to enjoy reminding everyone how successful her husband was. They bought a house in the suburbs and had 2 kids. Every family gathering became a showcase for their achievements. Paula married Marcus, a doctor. They had 1 child and were talking about buying a bigger house. Marcus drove an expensive car and wore designer watches. At family dinners, he would talk about his patience and his investments, and my parents would listen like he was delivering sermons from above. I was still single. Not because I could not find anyone, but because I was completely consumed by work. Building a company does not leave much time for dating. Every spare moment went into making Streamline Ops better, stronger, more competitive. My family did not understand that. All they saw was that I showed up alone to every holiday, every birthday, every family event. While Grant and Paula brought their spouses and children, creating noise and life, I sat quietly in the corner, checking my phone, responding to work emails. "When are you going to settle down?" Mom would ask, her voice tinged with worry and disappointment. "Maybe someday," I would say. "You are not getting any younger, Raymond," Dad would add. "You are 33. Most men your age have families by now." I would nod and change the subject. What was I supposed to say? That I was on the verge of something big, that everything I had sacrificed was about to pay off? They would not believe me. They never had. A few days before Christmas, Mom called to invite me to dinner. I hesitated. I was in the middle of intense negotiations for our initial public offering. We were so close. The paperwork was nearly complete. This was the culmination of years of work, and it was happening right after the holidays. But it was Christmas. And despite everything, they were still my family. So I said yes. I drove the 3 hours from San Francisco to Sacramento on Christmas Eve. I stopped and bought gifts, toys for my nieces and nephews, a nice scarf for Mom, a bottle of wine for Dad. Nothing extravagant, but thoughtful. When I arrived at the house, the scene was exactly what I expected. Grant and Simone were already there, their kids running around in matching Christmas pajamas. Paula and Marcus arrived shortly after me, their son clutching a new toy. The house smelled like roasted turkey and cinnamon. Christmas music played softly in the background. Everyone greeted me with polite hellos. Simone gave me a brief hug that felt more like an obligation than affection. The kids barely looked up from their toys. Grant nodded at me from the couch. "Raymond, you made it." "I made it," I said. We sat down for dinner. Mom had outdone herself with the cooking. Turkey, mashed potatoes, green bean casserole, pumpkin pie. Everything looked beautiful. The conversation flowed easily around me. Dad asked Grant about work, and Grant launched into a story about his recent promotion to engineering director. Everyone listened, impressed. Mom turned to Paula. "How is Marcus's new clinic doing?" Paula lit up. "It is doing so well. We are thinking about expanding. We might need a bigger house soon." "That is wonderful, sweetheart," Mom said. Then Dad looked at me. "What about you, Raymond? Still doing the computer thing?" "Still working in tech, yes," I said. Grant laughed. "You are still coding. I thought you would have moved into management by now. That is where the real money is." I took a sip of water. "I am working on something different." "Different how?" Simone asked, her tone suggesting she did not really care. "Just a project," I said, not wanting to elaborate. Paula jumped in. "Raymond, have you thought about dating? You know my friend Jennifer is single. I could set you up." "I am pretty busy with work right now," I said. "You are always busy with work," Mom said, her voice carrying a note of frustration. "When are you going to make time for a personal life?" The conversation moved on, but the damage was done. I could feel the judgment hanging in the air. After dinner, we moved to the living room for gift exchange. Grant presented Mom and Dad with an envelope. "We are sending you to Hawaii for your anniversary," he announced. Everyone gasped and clapped. Mom hugged Grant, tears in her eyes. "This is too much." "You deserve it," Grant said, soaking in the praise. Paula gave Mom an expensive necklace she had been eyeing for months. More exclamations, more hugs. When I handed over my modest gifts, they were received with polite thank yous and set aside. Dad opened the wine I brought, and Grant glanced at the label. "This is okay. Not as good as the bottles I usually get, but decent." I said nothing. What was the point? The kids went to bed around 9. The adults stayed up drinking and talking. Grant had several glasses of wine, his cheeks flushed, his voice getting louder. He started telling stories about his success at work, about the house he was planning to buy, about the vacation they were taking next summer. Then he looked at me. Really looked at me with that mixture of pity and superiority I had seen so many times before. "You know what your problem is, Raymond," he said. Here we go, I thought. "What is my problem, Grant?" "You have no ambition. You are 33 years old, and what do you have to show for it? You work some mediocre job, you live in a tiny apartment, you have no wife, no kids, no real life. No wife, no kids, no life." The room went silent. I looked around. Mom and Dad were not objecting. Paula looked down at her drink. Marcus nodded slightly, as if Grant had just stated an obvious truth. Simone smirked. I sat there feeling the weight of their judgment, their dismissal, their complete inability to see me as anything other than the family failure. And then something inside me let go. I was done trying to prove myself to people who would never believe in me. I was done hoping for their approval. I was done being small to make them feel big. I stood up, calmly, quietly. I smiled at Grant. "I see," I said. I walked to the coat rack and grabbed my jacket. "Where are you going?" Grant asked, surprised. "Home," I said. "But it is early," Mom said. "Stay a little longer." "I am tired," I said. "Good night." I walked out. Nobody followed. Nobody called after me. I got in my car and drove away, the Christmas lights of my childhood home fading in the rearview mirror. As I drove through the cold December night, I felt something I had not expected. Relief. I was free. Free from their expectations, their judgments, their need to make me feel less than. Whatever happened next, I would face it on my own terms. I got back to my apartment in San Francisco around midnight. I was exhausted, emotionally drained. I dropped my keys on the counter and collapsed onto my couch. My phone buzzed. A message from Trevor. "Hope you had a good Christmas. See you Monday for the big meeting." Right. Monday. The final meeting before our IPO launched on Tuesday. This was it. Everything we had worked for was about to happen. I looked at my phone and made a decision. I blocked my family's numbers, not permanently, just temporarily. I needed space. I needed to focus. They had made it clear what they thought of me. Fine. I did not need their approval to succeed. The next morning, December 26th, I woke up with a sense of clarity I had not felt in years. I went for a run along the waterfront, the cold air clearing my head. I came back showered and spent the day reviewing documents for the IPO. On December 27th, I met with Trevor, Aisha, and our team of lawyers and financial advisors. We gathered in our conference room, papers spread across the table, laptops open. Our lead advisor, a sharp woman named Catherine, walked us through the final numbers. "Your platform now serves over 2,000 small businesses. Your annual revenue last year hit 20 million. The market response has been exceptional. Based on current projections, we are looking at an opening price of $25 per share." Trevor whistled. "That is higher than we thought." "The market likes what you have built," Catherine said. "If the launch goes well, we are looking at a valuation around 300 million. I did my math quickly in my head. I owned 35% of the company. That meant my net worth would be around $150 million. The number felt unreal. Aisha noticed me staring into space. "Raymond, you okay?" "Yeah," I said. "Just processing." Trevor leaned back in his chair. "Your family still does not know about any of this, do they?" "No," I said. "They're going to find out soon," he said. "This is going to be big news." "I know," I said. And I did know. Part of me wondered how they would react. Another part of me did not care anymore. The next day, December 28th, was the day that changed everything. We gathered at 6 in the morning San Francisco time to watch the NASDAQ opening. Because of some COVID restrictions, we could not be there in person, so we set up a video call with the exchange. At 6:30 a.m., Pacific 9:30 a.m., Eastern trading began. Our opening price was $30 per share, $5 higher than projected. Within the first hour, the price climbed to $42. The trading volume was massive. Everyone wanted in. The conference room erupted. People were hugging, crying, laughing. Trevor grabbed my shoulders. "We did it, man. We actually did it." Aisha was crying and laughing at the same time. "I cannot believe this is happening." I smiled, genuinely smiled for the first time in days. We had built something real, something valuable, and the world was recognizing it. By the end of the trading day, our stock had settled at $40 per share. Our company valuation was $500 million. My personal net worth was approximately $175 million. That afternoon, the news started spreading. TechCrunch published an article titled, Streamline Ops disrupts small business software market with stellar IPO. Bloomberg covered it. Forbes wrote a piece about the three founders who had bootstrapped their way to success. Local news outlets in California picked up the story. The Sacramento Bee, the newspaper in my hometown, ran an article that evening. Sacramento native becomes tech millionaire overnight. There was a photo of me from our company website. My phone started buzzing with notifications. Old friends, former colleagues, people I had not heard from in years. Congratulations messages flooded my email and LinkedIn. I did not have time to read them all. We had back-to-back meetings, interviews with financial news outlets, calls with investors. It was almost 9 p.m. when I finally got home. I was running on adrenaline and coffee. I collapsed on my couch and picked up my phone. That is when I saw them. Dozens of missed calls, all from my family. Grant, Paula, Mom, Dad, even Simone and Marcus. The call log went on and on. My voicemail was full. I had blocked their numbers, but apparently they had found ways around it. Some called from different phones. Some left voicemails before I had blocked them. I hesitated, then decided to listen. The first voicemail was from Mom, left around 3 in the afternoon. Her voice sounded worried. "Raymond, honey, where are you? I just saw something on the news. They are saying you are a CEO, that your company just went public. Why did you not tell us? Please call me back." The second was from Dad, his voice serious and confused. "Raymond, it is your father. I saw the article in the Bee. I need to talk to you. Call me." The third was from Grant. He sounded shocked. "Raymond, I just read about your company. Is this real? Are you actually a CEO? Call me back, man." The fourth was from Paula, her voice small and guilty. "Raymond, it is Paula. I saw the news. I am so sorry about Christmas. I did not know. Please call me." The fifth was from Grant again, this time his voice more desperate. "Raymond, come on. Pick up. I am sorry about what I said. I was drunk and stupid. We are brothers. Talk to me." The sixth was from Mom again, this time crying. "Raymond, please. I do not understand why you did not tell us. We are your family. We love you. Please come home." There were more. So many more. Each one more desperate than the last. Each one full of apologies, explanations, justifications. They had seen the news. They had seen my face in the papers, read about my success, realized that everything they thought they knew about me was wrong. I sat there in my dark apartment, phone in hand, listening to their voices. Part of me felt vindicated. They had dismissed me, looked down on me, told me I was nothing. And now they knew the truth. But another part of me just felt sad. This was my family. These were the people who were supposed to believe in me from the start. I turned off my phone and went to bed. I would deal with them eventually. But not tonight. The calls and messages did not stop. Over the next week, my family tried everything to reach me. Grant sent long emails apologizing for his behavior, explaining that he had been jealous, that he had never meant to hurt me. Paula sent handwritten cards in the mail. Mom called every day, her voicemails getting more emotional each time. Dad sent text messages that were stiff and formal, but I could read the regret between the lines. "Son, I was wrong about your career choice. You have proven me wrong. I am proud of you." Even Simone and Marcus reached out, their messages filled with congratulations and barely disguised attempts to reconnect now that I was suddenly worth knowing. I ignored them all. I was busy. The IPO had launched us into a new stratosphere of business. We were hiring, expanding, meeting with major clients. Every day brought new opportunities, new challenges. I did not have time to deal with family drama, but I would be lying if I said I did not think about them. Late at night, when the work was done and I was alone, I thought about my childhood. I thought about my mother's laugh, my father's rare moments of praise, the times when Grant and I were actually close before competition and comparison drove us apart. I was not angry anymore. Anger required energy I did not want to spend. I was just tired of being seen as less than, and I had proven I was not. In mid-January, I made a decision. I called my mother. She answered on the first ring. "Raymond." Her voice was thick with emotion. "Is that really you?" "It is me, Mom," I said. She started crying. "Oh, honey, I have been so worried. Why did you not tell us about your company? Why did you not let us celebrate with you?" "I did not think you would care," I said honestly. "Of course we care. You are our son." "Mom," I said gently, "you can care now, but it would have meant more if you had cared before." She was quiet for a moment. "You are right. We should have believed in you. I am so sorry." "I know," I said. "I am going to come home this weekend. We should talk. All of us." "Yes," she said quickly. "Yes, please. Everyone wants to see you." That Saturday, I drove back to Sacramento. The drive felt different this time. I was not going there seeking approval. I was going there to set boundaries. When I pulled up to the house, I sat in my car for a moment, gathering my thoughts. Then I walked to the door and knocked. Mom opened it immediately, like she had been waiting by the window. She pulled me into a tight hug, crying into my shoulder. "I missed you so much," she said. "I missed you too, Mom," I said. Inside, everyone was gathered. Grant and Simone, Paula and Marcus and Dad. They all stood as I entered, their faces a mixture of guilt, hope, and uncertainty. We sat down in the living room. Nobody spoke at first. Finally, Grant cleared his throat. "Raymond, I owe you an apology. A real one." He looked me in the eye. "What I said at Christmas was cruel and wrong. I was jealous of you even though I did not realize it at the time. You were always smarter than me, more driven. I felt threatened, so I put you down. I am sorry." Paula spoke next. "I'm sorry too. I went along with everyone else instead of standing up for you. That was wrong." Dad shifted in his seat. "Son, I spent your whole life thinking I knew what was best for you. I pushed you toward a path you did not want, because I could not see past my own limited view of success. You proved me wrong, and I am man enough to admit it. I am proud of you. I should have said that years ago." Mom was crying again. "We love you, Raymond. We always have. We just did not show it the right way. Can you forgive us?" I looked at each of them. These imperfect people who had hurt me, dismissed me, made me feel small. But they were also the people who raised me, who gave me a home, who were trying in their flawed way to make things right. "I forgive you," I said. "But things need to change." "Anything," Mom said. "I need you to understand that I live my life on my terms. I do not need your approval or validation. I am proud of what I have built with or without your recognition. If you want to be part of my life, you need to respect my choices even when you do not understand them." Everyone nodded. "And I need you to stop comparing me to Grant and Paula or comparing them to me. We are all different. We all have different paths. That is okay." "You are absolutely right," Dad said. We talked for hours that day. Really talked. About the company, about my journey, about their regrets. It was not perfect. Years of hurt cannot be healed in one conversation. But it was a start. As I drove home that evening, I felt lighter. I had set my boundaries. I had said what I needed to say, and surprisingly, they had listened. Over the following months, my relationship with my family slowly improved. They made an effort to understand my work. They asked questions. They celebrated my successes without jealousy. Grant and I started having regular phone calls, rebuilding the brotherhood we had lost. Paula invited me to family dinners where I was actually included in the conversation. It was not the family I had dreamed of as a kid, but it was better than what it had been. And I learned something important through all of it. Your worth is not determined by other people's opinions, not your family's, not your friends, not society's. Your worth is determined by who you choose to be, by the values you live by the work you put into becoming the person you want to be. Success is not about proving people wrong. It is about proving yourself right. About trusting your own vision when nobody else can see it. About having the courage to walk away from people who make you feel small, even when those people are the ones who are supposed to love you most. Family will always matter. But their opinion of you should never define your worth. Sometimes you have to walk away to show them who you really are. And when they finally see you, make sure they see you on your own terms. Have you ever felt underestimated by the people closest to you? Drop a comment and share your story. I would love to hear it. If this resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more real stories about overcoming doubt and finding your own path. Share this with someone who needs to hear it today. Thank you for listening, and remember, the only approval you need is your own. Keep pushing forward.